For many years, the Mormon Church has been stockpiling $1 to $2 billion of surplus tithing into a reserve of the reserves inside a 501c3 nonprofit called Ensign Peak Advisors. This year, 2019, Ensign Peak Advisors grew past $100 billion in market-based, non-real estate allocated capital with approximately $44 billion in U.S. stocks, $12 billion more internationally, $27 billion in bonds, $6 billion in private equity, $10 billion in hybrid instruments, $3 billion in portfolio cash, and another $4 billion in treasury cash. These investments have been producing annual returns of close to 7%. That means that Ensign Peak Advisors grows by $7 billion each year from capital gains, dividends, interest, etc., plus another $1 to $2 billion each year from excess tithing. All church operations consume between $5 and $6 billion per year of tithing. It is officially, finally true that the Mormon Church could tell every member in the world to completely stop paying tithing now and forever, and it could continue to fund every current program in full without drawing down on the reserves. In other words, Ensign Peak Advisors would continue to grow. This is true in large part because, as a 501c3, Ensign Peak Advisors has enjoyed a tax-exempt status. It has garnered about $20 billion in tax breaks in total from the American public.
Travis Wayne Goodsell, back for the day. First things first, Random Muse's channel came out with a video today that had an old article, news article, concerning the effect of the Edmunds-Tucker Act on the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, shutting it down, closing it up, and again reiterating that polygamy was not the primary reason for it. It was for a lot of other criminal activity that the church was involved in. So I recommend his channel. It would be the video for today, I imagine, unless he's done something else since I last saw the channel. In the news, I also was linked to a Salt Lake Tribune article, and so wasted my one freebie. I think I get 2 per year or month. I can't remember, but one of those are now wasted. But the whistleblower testified against the church today in the California court of the James Huntsman lawsuit, trying to get his tithing back. And that's really all there is to that. But again, I have to remind everybody that James Huntsman blew it. All Mormons and ex-Mormons are screwing it up. What happens if you tell your bishop, you've gone through the missionary investigate or the discussions, and you're all ready, and you're now getting your bishop's interview, or lots of bishops like to have an interview. They want to get to know the person. They don't want the missionaries to just baptize them and dump them off. But we'll say the missionary interview. And the missionary asks, so have you begun paying your tithing, or are you willing to pay your tithing? And the person says, oh no, I'm not going to pay tithing. I'm poor. I need all the money I can get. Does the missionary just say, oh, well, okay, well, try to get a better job and make a promise to the Lord that you'll get more money so that you'll give your tithing? No. They have to be disqualified. They can't become members. They're not willing to be members. if they can't pay tithing. So what happens? Time for your recommend for your renewal, and you get to the point, do you pay a full tithe? And you say, oh, no. Well, you can see I didn't pay on the tithing sheet, where each year there's the tithing settlement that you go in and have the interview with the bishop, or some bishops hand it off to the counselors if it's a large active ward. But you say no. And you're in a position of leadership, or you have a calling. What happens? And you say, I'm not going to pay tithing anymore. I have no interest in it. I want money. I need money to live. What happens to you? Well, you get released from all your callings, and you don't get a renewal on your temple recommend. Now, is that a donation? I mean, seriously, guys. James Huntsman put donation for tithing. Donations are for fast offerings and for the Book of Mormon fund and the temple fund and the missionary fund and other miscellaneous, etc. But not tithing. It's not a membership fee, because that would be a set fee for everyone equally. No, this is 10% of your income, which is a violation of Doctrine and Covenants. It's supposed to be 10% of your interest annually. And if you work for someone else, you don't make interest. So you're not supposed to be paying tithing. But, prophets have come out and said, nope, we're changing this and not putting it in canon scripture to mean income. Do you understand? Children, once they are baptized at 8 years old, they've got to part with 10% of their babysitting, lemonade stand, allowance that they use to buy candy. Got to give it to the church. So the church doesn't steal candy from children. They steal the money that the children would use to buy the candy. Do you see what's going on? Do you see how much James Huntsman blew this case? It's called, in the legal field, it's called a protection racket. And it's a serious crime. It's crimes committed by mobs and mafia, criminal organizations. What they were accused of with the Edmunds-Tucker Act, but they didn't have it termed that way back then. Yeah, the church is guilty of that serious crime. But I do understand where Huntsman's going and why the whistleblower gets brought in today to testify. Is because Huntsman is claiming that his tithing is being mixed with other money, so that it's all in one big pool and then used for other than its intention. Despite the church having put in fine print, we reserve the right to use your money in whatever way we see fit. So I don't think he's going to win, per se. But if he can get the whistleblower to confirm that, yes, the expenditures, but he said there are none. Ensign Peak Advisors never spends any of that money, which they're supposed to. It's just collecting interest from being in a savings plus the portfolio for the stock market that made $6 billion last year off of your deaths, and will make even more with the Pfizer vaccine and Johnson & Johnson worldwide. Okay, my journal vlog is finished. Let me exit out of that. And so it will show the court that the church is in violation of their own articles of incorporation, that they're supposed to spend for specific things, but they're not. And that is fraud. So James Huntsman got that part right. But the tithing is a protection racket, which means illegal criminal money being funneled or laundered through a legitimate business, the stock market, or a savings, gaining interest. That's money laundering. So the whistleblower blew the church wide open, but Mnuchin failed to act on it. He was in charge of the IRS. That's where the whistleblower sent the complaint to. We now have a new one. I had her name earlier. Yellen, Janice Yellen, is that her name? And so the whistleblower should resubmit, saying, hey, I filed this whistleblower complaint. What is the status? And then she can take a look at it and see if there's, and there is. But this legal case, hopefully the judge knows what a financial crime is and will recognize it when the whistleblower says they're in violation of their articles of incorporation, so that fraud is confirmed by the whistleblower, and that'll open a whole can of worms, because if all he has to do is confirm fraud and the church loses, even if he's wrong about tithing being a donation, he'll have established fraud is involved. And then the judge grants the $5 million, then can even request a criminal referral. And the whole church's assets, liquid and non-liquid, whatever that's called, can now be investigated. And not just by the government, but the IRS for insurance fraud and tax fraud and other crimes such as protection racket. But nobody is catching on to that because they called it donations. So it's pretty serious. If you're a Mormon, get out. Get out now. The church is falling. Timber. It's very slow, but it's falling. We have to hurry because Trump's going to take office in 2023. You're going, wait, no, 2025, Travis. No. Have you not heard that Marjorie Taylor Greene, she filed articles of impeachment for Biden? This is what they have already told us they will do. They know they're not going to get it passed now. It's being held in reserve until after the 2022 midterm election, where they've already rigged the election, passing all the laws, even Utah passed laws that they can rig it so that their desired candidate will win. And we all know which one that is for Utah, don't we? Yeah, MAGAs. And so MAGAs are going to sweep the election next year. cheat. That's what they do. And then once they take over in the beginning of January, they've got the articles of impeachment from Marjorie Taylor Greene all set, ready to go. And they'll not take down just Biden, they're taking down Harris, so that their new House Speaker, the MAGA House Speaker, will become president. And then he'll step down and say, here you go, Trump, here's the keys. All because Biden and Congress failed to do what they needed to do at the beginning of the year. It's that simple. They let them do their dirty work. Right out in the open, they told us what they were doing, and they showed us what they were doing, and so it's coming. So yeah, the church has to fall before then, otherwise the church will be saved. Like Mnuchin saved the church. Like Barr saved the church. I had them by the balls and I ripped it off. And it was bleeding and gushing all over the place. Literally. But Barr said, sedition? Yeah, we can use that on the BLM protesters. Good idea. Hey, prosecutors. I couldn't believe he turned on me like that. Dear God. So, yeah, it's not my fault. It's Barr's fault. Blame Barr, not me. But dear God, what does it take to bring down corruption? If it were us, we'd already be in prison by now. They would have tortured us to get a confession, and we would have our rights and privileges gone for the rest of our lives. Whether we are innocent or guilty, our lives would be over. But when it's upper people, I don't know, crime is tricky. Is it? Is it? They stole money from babies that was going to be used to buy candy, and that's difficult to understand as a crime. Okay.